Welcome to today's lesson 7.5, multiplying a polynomial by a monomial. You will need your 7.5 skills practice worksheet, which you can find the link to just under this video link in the Canvas module. So let's just backtrack to where we've been up until this point. In 7.1, we took monomials and we multiplied them by monomials. We know a monomial is the product of is the product of having numbers and letters in combination. So this is an example of a monomial. It's the product of something. All right, we used our exponent rules to multiply two of them together, and we know that we could add our exponent under that scenario. We also talked about division of monomials, so I could take this and I could divide them by each other. And so that left us with the idea of subtracting. So these A's are going to cancel. I have 1 in the bottom, 2 at the top. So this is going to leave me with 3b. We subtracted our exponents. Okay, and then in 7.4, we added together polynomials. Now remember, a polynomial is a group of monomials joined together by addition and subtraction. So for example, this is a trinomial right here. It is 3 terms that are combined by addition or subtraction, and that's what we did in 7.4. None of these are alike, so I could not collect them together anymore. But what we're going to look at today is what happens when I have this polynomial and now I want to multiply it by a monomial. And so that's what this lesson is about. We need our exponent rules, and then we need our like term rules for simplifying. So let's get started. We're going to start with number 5 on the worksheet today rather than with the first two. We've been doing those in a warm-up prior to our separation of being in school. So if we look at this, we see a binomial in here. I have two terms being added together, two monomials being added together, but I have multiplication here. So automatically you should be saying to yourself, that's distribution. I've done this before. So we're going to distribute that negative 3n to all of the terms inside. This is the only time we truly distribute, is when multiplication gets distributed over addition or subtraction. But what's a little different now is I have variables. Okay, I have this monomial that has a variable in it, and I'm multiplying that 3n times that n squared. And I'm going to write this out the long way once or twice before we don't need to do that. But I'm also then going to multiply that negative 3n by the 2n. So now this brings us back to lesson 7.1, where I am multiplying two monomials together. And so the rule for exponent says I can add these together. So I have negative 3n, I have 1 plus 2, so I have n to the third power. In my second term, I have two big numbers, so negative 3 and 2 give me negative 6. We have n times n, which gives me n to the second power. Now, normally we don't write plus negative, so you would see it probably in a multiple choice type question, this as being your final answer, because we generally don't do that. But I wrote it out the long way, and that just is how it ended up. So the idea that we use, these are not like terms. They share the same variable base, okay, but they don't share the same exponent combination, so I can't collect them together. Remember, only under multiplication was I allowed to bring together the exponents. I can't do that under the operation of addition or subtraction. So this is final answer. So let's take a look at another example. This example has for us a trinomial, 3 separate unlike terms being multiplied by this monomial. So once again, the idea of distribution. And at some point, you should be able to start doing some of this in your head, but this is saying 3x times 5x squared minus 3x times x, and then plus 3x times 4. All right, so in longhand, that's what it looks like. All right, you have to decide where you want that negative to go to here. I could have taken 3x and multiplied it by the negative x, but being careful with the signage here, I brought the sign down and then multiplied by the term. So I only have one negative in there. And that would have been no different had it been 3 times negative x and not 3x times negative x. So big numbers, 15. X times x squared is x cubed. I have negative 3 times x is x squared. And no variable over here, but I can collect these together that you've been doing for a very long time. And so I have the new polynomial 15x cubed minus 3x squared plus 12x. None of them are alike. Yes, they all share the same base, but they do not share the same exponents on the base. So therefore, we cannot add those together. So this is final answer. Take a look at number 9. And we will come back to that with a solution. Hopefully you took some time to work this one out on your own, but let's see how it worked out for you. Again, monomial, this one's a little scarier. We got all sorts of negative signs in here, but negative 4 times 1 gives us a negative 4b. A negative times a negative gives us a positive 36. It is b times b. They share a 1 on there, so it's going to be a b squared on there. And then a negative times a negative again are going to give me that positive. 4 times 2 is 8. B times b squared is b cubed. Now, if you're asked to write this in descending order, usually that means we write it in descending order by exponent. So this really would be written with the cubed first, and then that single b out at the end. I won't ask that you write it in descending order, but you need to know that this is considered descending order. So some things on this one. Are you paying attention to the negative signs? Okay, are you remembering your rules for multiplying together your letters and adding your exponents as appropriately? So let's try another one. This one has a little bit more involved in it. We can see that the monomial out in front has a number, a letter, but also an exponent. And it's being multiplied by this trinomial. None of these are alike, so I can't simplify what's on the inside first. So let's take a look. So we're going to distribute. So we have 2m squared. I'm going to write this out the long way first, just so that we are clear on what's going on. Plus, bring down the plus sign. So it's 2m squared times 3m minus 2m squared times 5. I brought the subtraction sign and used it in the middle here rather than putting it on the 5, because that actually can change the game a little bit here if you're not careful. So let's multiply these together. The big 2 2's gives me a 4. We have m squared times m squared, which you should be thinking is m to the 4th. Okay, I'm going to bring down the plus sign. 2 times 2 gives me 6. This gives me m squared plus 1 more because of the implied 1 there. So that gives me m to the 3rd. And then over here we have, I'm going to bring down the subtraction sign. There are no other variables here, so we have the 10 and the m squared. Now, they all share the same base one more time, but again, the 4, the 3, and the 2 as the exponents are not the same, so therefore I cannot collect them together. Let's try another one. Now here we have quite a mix. We have a monomial times a binomial, but then out on the end we have an additional monomial to worry about. But, you know, we've done this problem before. We've just done it with a number out here in front instead of a letter. So this is going to be the same thinking. So we're going to distribute the first one and simplify. We've got to get rid of that. The parentheses here, the multiplication. So 3w times 3w is going to give me 3w squared. Remember the idea of w times w is w squared. I could distribute that out to the 2. Gives me 2w. So I've gotten rid of my parentheses. So that now tells me, hey, I got to simplify. Remember, I'm not going to distribute out to the 5w because he's not included in the parentheses. That's old business. But I can collect some things together. These are like terms. They share the same variable and at the same time the same exponent value like we would have done back in the fall. I have 3w squared plus 7w, final answer. That idea that these are not alike, they don't share the same exponents, I cannot add them together. Let's try another one. I have negative p that I'm going to distribute through the next two terms. So this gives me a negative. Remember the implied 1 out there. So that's negative 1 times 2, which is going to give me the negative 2. P times p is p squared. That negative p and that negative 8, that negative times a negative is going to give me a positive 8p. Bring down that negative 5p. Collect those things together that are alike, so negative 2p squared plus 8 minus 5 is 3p. Final answer. Let's try another one. This one has, again, we're still ramping it up a little bit here. I'm going to distribute this through. We have 2 times 3, which is 6. X times x squared is the idea of x cubed, adding together those exponents. 2x times 4 is going to give me 8x. And then I have minus 3x cubed. Take notice that these two are the two that are alike. So those are the two this time I'm going to collect together. 6 minus 3 gives me 3. They have the same x cubed. So 3x cubed plus 8x. Try number 19 on your own and then come back when you're ready for an answer. Let's take a look at 19. Let's see how you did. We have 2 trinomials, 2 distributions in this one. Let's see how you did. This really is old business, but how did we do with the exponents? 4b times negative 5b gives me negative 20b squared. 4b times negative 3 is negative 12b. This looks a little bit about like our addition subtraction. We have to distribute the negative 2 to everybody. Negative 2 times b squared is negative 2b squared. Negative 2 times negative 7b is a positive 14b. Negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. That should have been old school with the signs. Wow, look at all the stuff that look alike here. So let's see if we can't collect together some of these terms here. Can't change my pen color. He's being a little testy. All right, so we have 20b squared and negative 2b squared. They're alike. They are both negative, so that means that we're going to add them and keep the common sign. So that's negative 22b squared. We have negative 12b, positive 14b, opposite signs, so we have to subtract them, keep the sign of the larger number. So I have a positive 2b. This guy stands all by himself out here on the end. He has nobody to be collected together with. And so final answer is negative 22b squared plus 2b plus 8. Your homework for tonight is to do the evens 2 through 20, and good luck.